Hey everyone, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. And today we are going to talk about page copywriting. Okay, about pages are one of my most favorite things to write, and I'm going to share my screen and show you 6 examples to inspire your own. So let's get to it. All right, and we are back, and we are here to talk about page copywriting, and I'm really excited to talk about this because about page copywriting is fun. Like, this is where you can really let your personality shine, where you can bring the client's company to life and give it personality, especially if maybe it's a little more on the serious side or the dry side. And it's just a great place, and you can play. I love about page copywriting. I love telling stories. It can be fun to collaborate with the designer because the layout can do all sorts of, you can have all sorts of fun with the layout and the colors and pictures and things like that. So to get your juices, your creative juices flowing, I've rounded up 6 examples, including a couple of my own, to share with you. And hopefully you can see my screen, and I will share links to these in the description. And of course, you should also check the description because I'll have a blog post that'll also include this video. So to start out, let's go to Levi Strauss and Company. So yeah, blue jeans, baby. So I've been to this site before and it's changed a lot. I often use it as like a go-to for about page copywriting because I think they do such a good job. It's an iconic brand. People know it. It has a long and storied history. There's so much we can talk about for the site. And just so you know, for the purpose of this exercise, I am going to share some consumer brands, but also B2B brands, because I know you might be thinking like, yeah, sure, of course it's fun to have like a fun about page on, blue jeans, because of course it's a fun product. But I'm going to show you some other, maybe not more serious, but more B2B businesses. And I'll show you some about pages that I did for some solopreneurs who are my clients. And then you'll kind of get a sense. And the thing is, if you need inspiration, the best way to get inspiration is just go to some of your favorite companies and check out their about sections. So let's back up for a second and talk about what goes into these about pages. First of all, is it just one page? No, not necessarily. It can be. It really will depend on the business and how long the business has been around and the industry. That will kind of dictate it. So for a smaller business, like maybe it's just one person and maybe they haven't been in business that long, you might just have a nice about page. But for a bigger company, one that's either been around for a long time or it has multiple locations or offices across the world, they might have a more robust about page, as we say. So they might break it down into the history. They might break it down into the management team, career section, the mission and value statement. So they might break that out into separate pages to have a more robust section, or they might do one longer page. It really depends. And the examples I've rounded up will show you different approaches. So yeah, so now let's get to it. Levi Strauss Company. So their about page, it's who we are. That's the other thing you have to keep in mind. Not everything is going to be called about. Might be our story or company story or about me or who we are. So you can have fun with the label. You don't have to just use the boring about, even though it makes it very clear to your audience. And that's the other thing you have to remember is when people go to about page, you have to think about like, what's their motivation for going there? Like, we're going there because we're trying to get inspired. But like, if I am going to Levi Strauss and Company's page or website and I click on the who we are, or if I seek out the about page, which sometimes for some companies, it's buried in the footer, what is someone's motivation for going there? You always have to think back to the audience. Like, what information are they looking for? So you want to make sure you capture that information, but then beyond that, kind of the sky's the limit. And like I said, usually when someone's going to an about page, they're interested in the history, they're interested in who the, key players are, CEO, team people. They might be looking for a job. So a career section, that's often a place where, companies will keep their careers page. So you have to just keep that in mind. But there might be something else that someone is looking for and you just want to make sure you deliver. So, okay, now we're actually going to click on this. Who we are. So what I love about this, first of all, I just love this design. It's so clean. It's so sleek. It's so iconic. And it probably looks really good on mobile. I'm on my laptop, but I imagine it probably translates well to a smaller device. But look how simple this is. We are a company with a rich culture committed to a family of iconic brands. And then you can click over into company, leadership, brands, and history. So I'm going to click on history just to see where that takes me. I actually have not gone through this. So we're going through this for the first time together. This version of the website. I've been to earlier iterations, but not this particular one. So this is where, see, you can just have so much fun, especially if your brand or the company you're working for has any sort of history. And when I say any sort of history, like anything beyond 5 years, like there's a history. But if you're dealing with a company that's been around for, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, I had a client who was celebrating their 100th anniversary. This was a few years ago. We had so much fun preparing the marketing for their 100th anniversary celebration, from blog posts to their about section. We created this really cool timeline, interactive, so you can have a lot of fun with this section. This is where this can make up for some like the more boring parts of copywriting. So as you can see, it's just like, there are pictures. This is kind of like a timeline of sorts. This looks great. I mean, this is just, like I said, iconic brand. We're not going to go through the whole thing because you can do that. I will include links, and this is one to check out. Let's just see what they have for, that brought me right back here. So let's go to company. I'm curious as to what they have here. And again, a really nice movement, nice flow. Message from the CEO. And like I said, you can read through this, but this is a good example here. You have the company snapshot, you have the friendly message from the CEO, you have some facts and figures. So here's a good example of if someone's coming to the about page, maybe it's someone from the media and they just want to understand more about the number of employees, the revenue, that sort of stuff. Where are they located? You don't have to do that for smaller brands. Like if you're working with like, a one-person shop, you don't have to put down their revenue or, how many employees, obviously. But for a bigger company like this, that might, garner media inquiries, you can have this sort of information ready. Sometimes a media kit might be in an about section, a press section. So again, you can look through this on your own. I kind of like that. Business code of conduct. This is becoming more and more important, where people talk about. So again, really, you just keep, deep stuff. You keep going to nice pieces that are just well designed. So we will leave Levi Strauss and Company, but that's a good one to check out. So let's go to another one. Let's go to Ben & Jerry's, because who doesn't love ice cream? All right, another iconic brand. This is just a fun site in general. I mean, if you are a fan of ice cream and if you're a fan of Ben & Jerry's, I'm sure you've always been intrigued by their names and their descriptions and things like that. So here is their about us. So right over here, and this is what's known as a jumbo menu or mega menu. And people have lots of thoughts about the mega menu and whether it works and things like that. We're not going to discuss that today, but because they have, so many items under their about us section, I think it actually works. Like if this was just a drop down and had these, however many number of these things are, 14 things, that would be overwhelming in a drop down. So this is where that jumbo menu, that mega menu, can make a difference. But look at all the stuff they have here. They have, their overview, factory tour, how we make our ice cream, our flavor gurus, stuff that probably, people have very specific reason to read that. Open a franchise, jobs, press. So, and they go even deeper and have everything about them, their terms of use and privacy notice. Oftentimes, most sites put this in the footer, and that's fine, but they put it here to make it extremely accessible. So let's go to the overview. Again, I have not looked, so. And this is just fun. I mean, it's Ben & Jerry's. So again, I get that you're probably thinking, of course, it's a fun brand, but we're going to look at some more serious and staid brands. They have the interactive timelines are fun, and a good website designer can have fun. Clicking through. Let's just see what 2020 is. Change is brewing. Let's go to 1990s. Yeah. So again, this is just fun. You can look through this on your own, but this would be one to check out for inspiration. All right. And again, there's so much to look at here. Let's look at their press section, because that could be something that you end up doing for a client. Again, pretty simple. I mean, I shouldn't say pretty simple, but pretty straightforward. They probably have many more press releases than the average company. Let's look at jobs. So a job section, the career section, the job section shouldn't be just like overlooked. And I don't think it is really in today's environment. I think more people put more thought into their career section on their website just because they can change it. It's a website. They can update it pretty easily. So this is the place to kind of really give job candidates a sense of the culture that they're going into, the opportunities, the perks. They list their current openings. We talk about applying, living in Burlington. So yeah. All right. So that's Ben and Jerry's. Now let's look at one that I did. So Steve Reynolds, really, really great guy. He is a talent coach for morning radio. And I used to work in radio, so this was a really fun project to do. I worked in radio a long, long time ago, and we know some of the same people. That's not how we got in touch. We got in touch through my web designer, which is kind of funny, but then we realized we knew a lot of people in common. And I did this site, and like I said, he's a really funny guy. Like he's just really good at what he does. He had a very distinct vision as to what he wanted for the site, but he was also very, very open to ideas in terms of the copy and the approach. And as you can read through the site on your own, I will include a link. And the design, I think, is really, really good too. The web designer who I work with all the time did a really great job. But let's go to the Why Me section. Is actually his About Me, because if you're a morning drive DJ, you might not think that you need a coach. So it's very much like, this is more like Why Me, which also gets into the About Me here. So we wanted to make this very personal. So we encouraged him to take pictures. He loves his dogs, with him and his dogs, show this really just fun guy, friendly guy, him doing his, talks and things like that. And he just, this just really captures his personality. Once upon a time, a nice little Jewish boy named Steve lived in Newburgh, New York. And it talks about his love of radio and how he got into that. And it talks about his first radio gig. So in some ways, this is kind of like a timeline, but it's also a bio at the same time. And it just kind of goes through how he got into radio, how he got into coaching, what it's like to work with him. So this is an example of an about page for a solopreneur. And again, not a typical about page. I'm going to show you a more typical one where, we have a bio, but this is the approach that we took for this. And I think it works really well. You might disagree, and that's okay. But again, I'll give you the link in the description so you can check it out. So now here's another site that I did for a more traditional business, I guess you could say. Debbie is a mortgage broker. Westchester Mortgage is her company. She's a company of one. So, her company is Westchester Mortgage, but Debbie Siegel is the owner. And we did the website, and we just have a very classic About Me, but took a little bit of a different approach in terms of how we did the layout and what we talked about. We opened it with talking about, how she helps people and what she does. And then we got into how she got into the mortgage business, because it wasn't just like a straight line. So we thought that was, I never planned on being a mortgage broker, So she kind of talks about how she got into it, who she loves working with. And then we get into, why I work with the people I work with. She works with lots of divorced women and people, she loves helping people get into homes, might not be able to go with the traditional route, and finding those angles and ways to get people in. And then we have the traditional, and I like to have like a little fun. Below is my formal bio, also known as the bit where I talk about myself in the third person. So we do have the more traditional bio, in case someone, because she does occasionally get media inquiries. So then they can go to this professional bio. If she speaks at a conference or something like that, this is the bio that she can send them, and the headshot. So this is a little bit more of a classic about page, I would say. And again, for one person. So there's that. Now let's look at a B2B. And I thought HubSpot would be a good place to go because, HubSpot is where it's at. If anyone watches my channel regularly, you know I talk about HubSpot all the time now. I was on their about page at one point. So a lot of times, I think it is in the actually up here, but I think my Zoom thing is in the way. But a lot of times people put their company information down here. So you can see they have it broken down with about us, careers, management team, board of directors, you know, the contacts. So let's just go to the about us for now. But they have like a more robust company section. That's my point. And here's if anyone's familiar with HubSpot, this is very HubSpot. And we got the orange, you know, the pop of orange. We got the mission, we got the founders, we've got the classic our story. Hey, video is always great. So the more video that you can do, and here's the thing about video is you can help craft the script. You know, people who are on video need scripts, and a good script writer, you know, you can charge for that. So that's another option. And I've got the chat bot. I'm trying to like get out of this and I don't know how. Go away, chat bot. It's not letting me get out. And hopefully it'll just go away. Oh, there's the X. So yeah, so you have the our story, you have the history, again, timelines, this is another way to do it. This is a little more simpler than the other ones we saw, but still effective. And then they talk about their products. So that's, you know, because their products are, I mean, such a huge part of who they are and their identity. So it makes sense. I don't know if you would necessarily talk about products on other types of companies about pages. You might. This is where you have to kind of make that decision. So here they have the snapshot of numbers in terms of, you know, employees, customers. That could be stuff that people are interested in. So again, a nice about, and this is just about us. And then they kind of break out. Let's go to careers because I bet they have a good careers page. And this is very important, you know, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. There's a report on that. So that could be really interesting to someone who's thinking of applying, you know, links to open positions, what is HubSpot, what it's like to work there, who you aspire to be. Wow. Culture codes, 128 pages. I wonder how many people actually go through that. But it's fast. This could be good. Again, this could be a great lesson just looking at copy too. So yeah, notice how robust the careers, this is a really great careers page. So maybe at some point I'll do a video on other career pages as well and talk about what should go into a career section, but this is a great example. So if you're doing that for anyone. And now let's finish by looking at Basecamp. Basecamp is a project management tool. So you might be familiar with it. If not, it's a great tool and you might encounter it as you do copywriting work for clients because sometimes their internal teams might use it. I have clients who use it. So where was I? Let's see. The main site is very just straightforward, simple, similar to Dropbox, where it's just all about the product and stuff. So I think I had to scroll down here to actually get to the company. Again, very common to have it in the footer. Your footer is an essential part of your website. You can put really good information here. So let's go to about. And this I thought was just really great. And I read through it too. It's just a letter from the founder and CEO on why it was developed. It really well done, written really nice. Really nice. That sounds so, you know what I mean? It's just heartfelt, honest. It doesn't sound like marketing jargon. I imagine he probably wrote it himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he did and then had someone, you know, copy edit it perhaps. But, and then this is it. This is the about the company, which I think is actually fabulous. It just so fits them. And then they have the social proof down here. It kind of tells you everything you need to know. So again, you can read through this to get a sense of why I'm kind of geeking out over it. But I think that's kind of really effective. Again, that's what's so great about the about page is you can really be creative. So you can do the traditional bio if you want to go that route, or you can suggest other things to your company depending on what the brand is and what they do. So, and you show some of these examples to them. Anyhow, there you have it. I don't want to make this video too long, but there are examples of some about page copywriting and design and layout to inspire your own for clients. And hopefully you found this helpful. Check out the description for the links. And now I'm going to throw it back to myself and Stewie. And there you have it. 6 examples of about page copywriting to inspire your own. Make sure you check out the description below. I will include links to the ones we discussed. If you liked this video, if you found it at all helpful, give us a thumbs up because that helps us out. And if you're finding this channel helpful overall, consider subscribing. I'm putting out lots of new content for new copywriters and copywriters who maybe been around a while and just need to sharpen up some skills. I am Robin the Copy Bitch. I have over 20 years of experience. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth, and we will see you next time. Bye.